Racing action continues to build in intensity for the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. Tonight, we get set to hurt some feelings and scrape some doors as we swing on out to America's fastest paperclip. Welcome to race number 11 of the Cup Series and to the Ping Precision Auto Glass 200. My name is R11 alongside Josh Baird. We are bringing you all of racing action from start to finish. 200 laps about to kick off from this beautiful, beautiful half-mile facility. Josh, it is one of NASCAR's oldest tracks. It's also one of NASCAR's most famous tracks. This race bound to be a barn burner.
I'm super excited for Martinsville. I've been there in real life, and it's always fun to watch. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what these Gen 4 cars, what they are capable of doing at a place like Martinsville. You got cars with a ton of horsepower that were meant to be unleashed and have to have the ability to be able to tame that horsepower here at Martinsville. And, you know, some of that older technology as well is not really designed well to be able to help with the handling at all. So I expect to see a lot of action tonight from these guys here at this track.
The big thing that really, I think, strikes me with these Gen 4 cars, right? Remember, these Gen 4 cars were first designed when there was that huge Speedway explosion, the era of the cookie cutter. This is when the tracks like Atlanta were getting reconfigured. You were seeing tracks popping up like Chicagoland, Kansas, so much more, right? Texas. Charlotte was getting repaves and profiling. So many tracks were being Speedway-fied, and that, I think, makes it so this track, just like the Gen 7s, it's not designed to be run by these Gen 4 cars. It may have been a track that was designed maybe in the first generations of NASCAR, but ever since then, it's always a struggle when these guys have come here. We even see the caution count raising to way above average, even in the real World Cup Series whenever they run down here.
Yeah, it's definitely a new set of skills that guys aren't used to driving with this. And like you said, the era that this car was specialized for was more of that cookie cutter era. So having this car to try to handle this tiny little track versus the big one, the bigger ones, is always a tough task. So it takes a very special set of skills. And I think that we're going to find out tonight who has those skills for these smaller, more technical tracks.
Benjamin Lacey currently sits on the top of the points board, and for the top 12 cut line, only 1 point separates Kevin Fawcett from Mike Massengill. It is unbelievably close to seeing who's going to come out the victor and who's going to move on into the top 12 for the playoffs. But of course, that's still quite a few weeks away. We're right now in the second half of the regular series season.
We're starting to see the season standing shape up, and there's been some bigger names up top, and then I think a few more silent runners that have snuck their way into the playoffs as well. I think Connor Gibson is a name that comes to mind for me. Sitting in the top 10, he's not a guy that we've seen sitting on the podium a ton so far this season. Actually, as a matter of fact, we've only seen him in the top 5 once so far this season. But sitting in the top 10 because he shows up consistently and he makes sure that he is able to perform when the performance is necessary. So I think when we see these guys start to wrap up heading towards the playoffs, we're going to see some great action coming from some of these guys.
So we're going to get set to see how everything's going to line on up as we've got ourselves shaking on up for what should be a fun one. 200 laps about to kick off at the Martinsville Speedway. Let's take a rundown of what your starting grid then is going to look like as these drivers are ready to go to war. Starting on pole position, it is Aaron Smith making his 4th start of the season alongside Benjamin Lacey. Ty Marasco brings it home in 3rd. Dalton Kilgore, his teammate, is down to the number 4 spot. GGA Esports' Michael Thorpe Jr. is in 5th. Scott Shire is in 6th with Sean Williams in 7th. Dustin Ping is in 8th. Kevin Foster is 9th. Connor Gibson rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Tony Hilbrand sitting back in 11th. I kind of expected to see him sitting a little higher today. He must not be content with how his car's handling there. You have Steve Ulrich in 12th. 13th is Brian Dees with Jason Greenwell in 14th. And then our 2 favorite guys, last but not least in the series, is always the guys rounding out the field with Michael Ashmore in 15th and Mike Massengill in 16th.
That was an interesting pronunciation of Ashworth's name initially there. We're off to a flying start up here at the Green Flight TV booth. It's going to be a long night, I feel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I just was looking at both the names at the same time, and yeah, it was not a very good joining of the two names, that's for sure.
Was it the exact wrong way to join those two names?
Oh,
boy. Just waiting on Connor to give us a grid on up, and then we'll get this show on the road. For now, 15 to the 16 have gridded on up. Aaron Smith, we were talking about him before this race, right? The fact that he could very well have found himself into a top 12 position. He enters this race 22nd in the points, and it's unfortunate for Smith, right? He's a very quick driver. He has finished at the top 5 every single race that he's running. It's a shame that we don't see him around more often to play as another championship contender.
Yeah, he's got a really strong car every week, but only attended 3 races so far this season, and all 3 of them have netted him a top 5 position. I'm pretty sure we've actually talked to him, so I'm pretty sure it's been a podium every time he's raced. So it's unfortunate that he hasn't had the ability to be consistent so far this season, but once again, he's showing how dominant he can be when he does end up coming to these races.
So we'll work things around in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. 2 pace laps, of course, on the docket for the afternoon. Quite a few names that we're used to seeing up front, like Brian Dees starting further down the field. Tony Hilbrand's another driver that we've seen at the front so consistently. Shocked to see him starting so far down tonight. What do you reckon the Mopar machine's going to have to do to fight his way to the front?
Well, I have to imagine, knowing Tony and how consistent he's been at being able to start towards the front this season, that maybe he just had a bad lap. But he's going to have a lot of traffic to fight through to make his way back up to the front if that's where he's really meant to be tonight. But like we said, with these cars and this track, it's such a unique version of how these guys race here that it just may not be a track suited to his style. But after Pocono last week also being kind of a unique track, he also finished well there. So we'll just have to see.
It's go, go, go from Virginia, and already we're wrecking down to turn 1. One car goes into the wall, but they're able to keep it straight. We're going to roll things around through 1 and 2. Aaron Smith pulling away early with the lead.
Aaron Smith getting a big lead, and it looked like maybe it was Dustin Ping a little further back that just got a little too much acceleration in there. As we got guys turn around in 3 and 4.
And that will bring out the yellow flag for the first time this afternoon. Unfortunate to see caution coming out so early on. Mike Massengill going around to the number 3 along with Steve Allwork and more. Aaron Smith will pick up the race lead at the end of lap number 3, and did not take long for the caution flag to strike. Let's take a look on what brings out yellow flag number 1.
I have a feeling this may be a case of maybe late braking coming into the corner here, or just, yep. Oh.
Greenwell to the old scoop.
Yep. So early in the race, you just have to learn those braking lines, especially when you get in traffic. He may have been at a point where, you know, he was practicing, didn't really have a ton of time to practice in traffic. So you got, when you're around your competitors, you just got to learn how they're planning on braking, and run into situations like that off the get-go. And yeah, once again, the 81 gets a little too much throttle going into that entry there, and probably in the wrong gear for this track and this acceleration, and turns it right into the wall.
The Greenwell just approaches with too much speed, and the dashboard got kicked up by the 3 car there of Mike Massengill as well. So it was a multi-car pile up there at the back end of turn number 1 to kick things off for race action this afternoon. Quite a few cars coming down the pit road, but interesting enough, Aaron Smith is into pit road. The driver, the number 70, pitting in on just the 2nd lap of the race. There you see once again the 52 going up and into the outside wall, but this is very unusual to see Smith pitting in this early on. I have got to think that there was a setup this configuration that he had to get fixed.
Yeah, you very rarely see somebody on the 2nd lap go to take any type of service in the pit lane. So I'm genuinely curious to see what actually was the issue with that, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him a little later on. I've heard also too that sometimes guys like sitting towards the back at the beginning of the race because they don't really want to be involved too much in incidents that are going on, and going on towards the front when people are battling so hard for the lead. So that could be a possible strategy option for him as he decided maybe he wanted to sit a little further back.
Well, the problem that I see with that is, by my logic at least, for most Martinsville races that I've seen, the trend always tends to be the cautions tend to come more frequently the further back you get in the field. We'll see if it'll be the same story this time around. Ty Marasco leads the way into the restart zone off of turn number 4. We'll try this again. Green flag in the air.
You know, another thing that could have come up with Aaron Smith too is maybe he got a penalty for jumping the restart zone.
I doubt it. I mean, that would be incredibly weird because that would mean he'd have a penalty to serve under green. You can't serve a drive-through under yellow.
Yeah, good point.
Marasco leads the way. He'll lead the first official lap to green. Benjamin Lacey runs second. Thorpe in third. Single file all throughout. So far, for the most part, drivers looking to be a little bit more patient here than off that initial start. They're tucked up line astern for the leaders, but the further back you get, the closer they get to side by side. There goes Kevin Foster taking the spot away from Greenwell.
Kevin Foster with a new paint scheme tonight, it looks like, and that's looking pretty good, and it seems to be giving him a little more speed. So great job for being able to get around Greenwell there.
And once again, the field rocketing off of turn 4. We take away to lap number 10, already into the double digits. Did not take long. Lacey and Thorpe, the two main contenders right now, trying to run down Marasco. But again, they're being patient. Nobody's opting to make any sort of dive bomb moves just yet. Although looking back here, Dustin Ping trying to go back on the upswing after he had to come to pit road to fix the damage after striking the wall coming down to turn 1 of the opening lap. He picks off Greenwell. That was for 13th.
Yeah, great job by Ping to be able to take out that position. And I'm sure a lot of the, for the spectators, it's hard to watch these cars go single file, but the owners and the drivers, they just want to finish this race. So I think it's a very smart move for these guys to single file out and only take positions as you can get them. But Gibson, it looks like he's ready to take on his next position going up against Dees.
He tried for it, couldn't quite get the move done, and he's going to lose out to Ryan Dees, who will take it away in that number 7 position. Oh, look out! Lacey spinning around, crashing it up into turn number 4. And the yellow flag is out for the second time tonight. And your second place runner, I think, just got turned by the 34.
I think so too. It looked like another incident of late braking by the competitor behind him, so we'll have to see what the replay has to say.
Down into the corner. Thorpe running behind Lacey. Thorpe has come down to pit road. So is Foster, Ping, Ashmore, Massagill, and Ulrich. And is this with contact? Yes, it sure is. Scoops up the back end. Around he goes. And Thorpe took a move to get around the outside, but glances off the outside wall. And that, I believe, is why we see him coming down to pit road.
Yeah, it didn't look too terrible, though, for Thorpe. I'm curious. I don't know if I would have maybe just wanted to get a good assessment of it while he had the chance to pit, but that's going to cost him a few positions. But it looks like right here he's getting ready to transition to the throttle. But Lacey was not ready because he also had a car in front of him as well.
And this is a classic Martinsville incident, right? You're trying to get to the back bumper, you're trying to see if you can set up a run, and you close in a little bit too quickly, and well, that's all it takes. It's just that one little bit of miscommunication can throw everything into a wreck.
Yeah, you really want to be as close to your competitor as possible, and like you said, and it just takes a millisecond for you to not be able to react to the driver in front of you, or think he's going to take off and he doesn't. So we're probably just going to see quite a bit of this tonight, I think.
So far, all 16 competitors still on the racetrack and also still on the lead lap. Marasco still leads the way. Dalton Kilrow, courtesy of that incident, will pick up the position from third. He will now run second. He'll restart on the outside line, right on board with Kilrow. He had a front row seat. Great heads-up driving there, and that secures Kilrow with the second place after Thorpe came down to pit road.
Yeah, Kilrow has been a master escape artist so far this season. I don't know how many times we've seen his onboard and replays of him just dodging wrecks left and right. So it's really helped him out so far this season to be able to secure some really nice positions and putting himself in a comfortable spot so far this season.
Green flag back in the air. The Ping Precision Autoglass 200 gets back on the way, and it's going to quickly be brought to a stop. Gibson's goes around and didn't even make it through turn one that time before we bring out the yellow flag for the third time.
All right, boys, it's time to get back to being patient. I know it's hard to want, or it's easy to want to be aggressive and try and lock in those spots early, but we like racing and not pacing here on Green Flag TV, so I'm hoping these guys can realize that they need to cool it a little bit because they still have well over 150 laps, if not more, left to go. Ooh,
that was
just
a
slight tag too.
That was Connor Gibson trying to go for the move on the inside of Tony Hilbrands. Hilbrands just the victim there, and then that stacks up the field. Smith got piled up on top of Steve Ulrich, and that could have been a pretty nasty pile up. We're lucky that we got away with as little damage as we did.
Yeah, Tony Hilbrands is also unlucky too because he worked so hard to get all the way up to 4th place just to get put back down to 11th where he started after that incident.
So yellow flag. Go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying it also looks like Aaron Smith got his rear tires taken off as well in that incident.
He sure did. He was he got struck by Steve Ulrich, which is what put him up and into the air, but that is now 3 for 3. We just now hit lap 20. We're going to take a step back. When we return, it's more from the Ping Precision Autoglass 200 on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Green flag getting set to come back out as we work it into turn numbers 3 and 4. Team M40 teammates running 1 and 2, top of the points boards. Green flag is back in the air.
Ooh, wiggle by Ty Marasco here. Usually we're not used to seeing Ty Marasco so early up, so far forward so early up. So it's interesting to see him out here, out the gate, being able to take the lead from the rest of this field. This must be a track that he's very comfortable with in these Gen 4 cars. Let's see if there's another spin as Benjamin Lacey goes around once again.
Lacey's now 3 for 3. Well, I guess 3 for 4. That's 3 out of the 4 cautions now that he's been piled up in, and 2 where he's been facing the wrong way. But we're going to get this pace car back out onto the racetrack. And this is Martinsville on iRacing, right? Every league race here, it's no different. It's a matter of it's so difficult to try and judge a race car, and of course with how sensitive the contact model can be on iRacing, it makes it ripe for incidents exactly like this.
It's going to be a tough one for these guys tonight, and I think another problem is too with how these cars are designed. You get that rear end lifted off by just a little bit of contact from the guy behind you, and then next thing you know you're spinning around. And it looks like once again Michael Thorpe Jr. is going to be the culprit of rear-ending Benjamin Lacey to cause that spin.
Now, I don't think it's entirely Thorpe's fault here. Did you see how much it was? It's a bit hard to kind of tell when it's slowed down like this. But if we look at this from above, keep an eye up front and look at how much the field stacks up here going into turn 3. Thorpe was running the average speed, but right there, it starts at about the 89, and that Constantino just goes all the way back and eventually just nowhere for Thorpe to go. That's not entirely Thorpe's fault either. That is, again, classic Martinsville racing.
I agree 100%. Another thing is with these cars, this older generation cars, is the braking technology isn't the greatest either. So you almost have to have the ability to predict stuff like that coming up, and you know, it's nearly impossible to do that and be competitive. So I don't really think it was anything to that Lacey should be mad at Thorpe for. It's just an unfortunate situation where he closed the gap too quickly and was not able to get the speed down enough to avoid contact with him.
4 cautions down already. Quite a few cars not looking terribly pretty. You mentioned, of course, the rounded nose acting like a scoop, and this was a problem that was even in the real World Series. Remember when the Gen 4 cars were running? I remember going through, watching a lot of those old seasons. Those early Martinsville races were terrible in these cars. It's no secret why the caution count of Martinsville suddenly went way down after they brought in the car of tomorrow with those more squared off noses that they continue to run to this day. It helps when you don't have a scoop on the front of your car that picks your opponents up in front of you on a track where bumper to bumper contact is so prominent. Green flag coming back out.
Green flag coming back out, and they're all side by side, and it's also a good jump by Ty Marasco coming out the gate there, and since his buddy was right next to him with Dalton Kilroe, Stewart sliding up as he was trying to gain a lot more time by breaking deep going through turn 1.
Yeah, big moment there for Scott Shire as he almost found himself going around. Locked that one up big time coming down into turn number 1. That allows the top 2 to get on a pretty solid breakaway. Meanwhile, Thorpe back to the inside of Hilbrands, trying to see if they can make a run at the Mopar. Still door to door as they work it off of turn number 4. Right now, Hilbrand's trying to carry his momentum around the outside, but bottom lane, the fastest way through these corners, hands down. That never changes at Martinsville, but it can often still take several laps to try and make a pass, and right now, that is something that Thorpe is struggling with.
Yeah, it's going to take, with 2 competitors like Hilbrands and Thorpe competing against each other, they're just so evenly matched in skill that it's going to be extremely difficult for Thorpe to get out of there as he finally is able to squeeze around Hilbrands coming out of turn number 4.
Thorpe's next target up the road will be that of Dustin King as big racing action continues on. Meanwhile, you've also got Ty Marasco still at the head of this field. Scott Shire starting to reel that gap back down to the top 2, so we could be seeing Kilroe Marasco coming under fire here pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Shire has under his belt because he did build that little bit of a gap. Connor Gibson's right on his tail too, so we might actually see him try and pop out for a move as well. Or I think Gibson is actually pretty content with where he's sitting at right now, so he may just sit back and wait for a mistake from Shire.
Connor Gibson working himself up and around while the top 2 continue on their solid getaway at the head of the field. Single file all throughout. Nothing too descriptive taking place on the racetrack, right? Yeah, the closest 2 for the lead between the 2 team teammates. And as I say that, Connor Gibson goes around on the front straightaway, and the 31 car is down and out.
We'll have to see what caused that incident there, but it seems like one of 2 factors. One, he gave it too much gas going down the front stretch with these overly powered cars, or B, we got another case of scoop the rear end and go for a spin.
I think it's the former here, and it is. Just loops it off the corner, and he's going to nose that thing pretty hard into the inside wall. Look at the back end lift up the ground. That was a heavy lick that he took right at start finish.
It was. Good thing aero is not a huge problem here for Martinsville. He'll be able to probably survive that unless he actually took some damage to the radiator that may cause his engine to overheat, and these And a track like Martinsville, that is something that you have to really pay attention to.
On board. Right when it came off the concrete, that little transition from concrete to asphalt is what spun those tires up. You gotta watch for that off of these corners. It'll get you.
These cars have so much power, it's actually ridiculous. It's really hard. I don't think, I think the throttle is just something you really strongly have to manage at a track like this with these cars. So I can imagine that it may even be a case where these guys can't even really put down the throttle full pedal. I believe that 2 weeks ago we were at a similar track to this where they really even had to throttle the, or feather the throttle rather, going down the straightaway, or else the car just gets too loose.
This is, yeah, I mean, this is nuts. I mean, this is absolutely nuts, the type of racer that we have seen here. I mean, right now, Ty Marasco and Dalton Kilrow running first, second, and third. I mean, Martinsville races, they don't tend to go any different. And well, we talked about it a lot, right? 700 horsepower, straight to the rear wheels, no traction control, no stability control. It does make these cars a handful to drive.
I've been so amazed watching these guys so far this season being able to tame these cars. This is obviously, you know, we're the 5th caution, 37 laps in, but this is not the normal for this league so far this season. They have been doing such a great job at keeping the car under control. But a track like this is just not really designed for this, you know, beast of a car to stay tamed. So they're just going to have their hands full tonight. And the pace car dips off as we get ready to start lap 38 under green.
Free fly comes back out as we rocket back down to turn number 1. Marasco and Kilrow side by side, and this time Kilrow not letting Marasco clear for the lead. And they're going to be in a grudge match down to turn 1, down to turn 3. Double file all the way back throughout this whole field. Working the front straightaway in the back to 31, way up and wide. But Kilrow trying to go for the lead here, and he's going to take that one around the outside.
Great job by Kilrow showing his ability to be able to get out in front right now as we got the field getting ready to enter turns 3 and 4 here, and it's the MFRD team 1, 2, 3 so far.
Marasco slaps the outside wall, and now Brian Dees will shoot to 3rd. Thorpe back to the number 4 spot, and now Scott Shire will hang on for 5th, just in front of Aaron Smith and Justin Ping. Oh boy. Nearly getting into it with Tony Hilbrands, and Hilbrands muscled up and wide by by Sean Williams as they rocket down the front stretch and back to turn 1.
Yeah, Sean Williams was really deep on the brakes there and slid his car way up the track and almost sent Hilbrands into the wall. I think braking is another huge key part about this car that's going to be a struggle for these guys tonight, is being able to get enough brake in there to slow the car up in time before you end up running into your opponent or pushing them into the wall.
This race has been bonkers so far, and what race we have had, it's been fantastic. Aaron Smith takes to the inside of Scott Shire, picks off the spot just up the road. Michael Thorpe Jr. trying to also make an identical look on Brian Dees for 3rd. And Dees forced up to the outside. He will hang on for the looks of it. Smith still battling with the Ford car, though, not able to clear him.
Yeah, Shire's stranded up to that outside. He can't get it. He can't get down there. And as long as those cars stay stacked to the inside, it might be an issue for him. But it looks like they give him enough room to be able to squeeze in there behind Aaron Smith. But not surprised to see Aaron Smith with his speed trying to catch up to the front of the pack. And same with Thorpe Jr. He's always one of those guys that is never content with riding further back in the pack as he looks to the inside of Dees.
So considering how packed up this entire battle pack is here and how Kilrow was driving away, how much you willing to bet that Ty Marasco is holding these guys up?
Yeah, Ty Marasco is a quick driver, but there's times where he does have the ability that he can create a little bit of a log jam, and right now it's giving his teammate a 2-second advantage over the rest of the field as we got somebody spinning once again in turns 3 and 4.
Dustin Ping goes around up in the fourth and final corner, and he's going to have to get himself right. He's going to have to hurry here because Kilroy's going to be coming around 3 and 4 anytime now. There he is, entering 3, but he will get it rolling before he goes down the lap. And that looked like, again, classy Martinsville. He definitely had help, though, for this one.
Yeah, we were just talking about how the front end becomes a scoop with these Gen 4 cars. And the funny thing is now with these Gen 7 cars, you'll see even in real life NASCAR, if they want to get somebody out of their way, what they'll do is they'll give them a nice little tap right there mid corner, and it pushes them tight, and then it gives the opportunity to pass. But you can't touch the rear bumper with these cars, just because it turns it into a scoop and pushes those rear tires and ends up causing the car to turn around on them.
Tony Hilbrand is this time the culprit as driving it into turn number 1, and whoopsie daisy, around he goes. Easy mistake to make, a harmless mistake at that. Ping sent around, he's going to lose time, but it won't be any worse than that. Couple of cars coming down to pit road. Foster, Gibson, Greenwell, Ping, Ulrich, and Massengill, the top 2, still have not come down to pit road.
I imagine some tempers are beginning to flare as people are becoming impatient with cautions, and then other people getting frustrated that they're getting spun. So we may see some more aggression coming this way. You know, there's no infield for these guys to fight in after the race, so we'll just have to see if these guys can keep their cool heads and try and get some green flag running here.
Well, you know what they say, if there's ever a race where you have a grudge to settle, this is the place to do it. It's probably the place you could get away with it the most easily without it looking too deliberate, especially in cars like these. It's going to be a lot easier than next week at Talladega for these guys. So you go from the slowest and shortest track to the longest and fastest track. Oh boy, it's quite a swing.
Yeah, and I like that decision by the admins. It helps the drivers stay on their toes and be able to overcome adversity as they transition from one week to the next. And you know, last time we were at Daytona with these guys, it was also kind of plagued with cautions. So I'm curious to see what's going to come of that after coming to a track like this and then going to a track like Talladega.
Pace cars off. Once again, Dalton Kilroy will lead us towards the restart zone through turns 3 and 4. Green flag is back up and in the air.
Another wiggle by Ty once again. Just a little too much throttle trying to get that jump alongside Kilroy. So Kilroy once again taking off with the lead. But he's got Michael Thorpe Jr. on his tail this time. I think that's a guy that isn't keen to give away enough position, and Smith is coming to the outside, so he's looking to take over for Ty Marasco as well and jump into that 3rd spot of the podium.
Aaron Smith did come down for a fuel-only stop on lap 19, so he is off cycle by some margin compared to Ty Marasco down on his inside. Thorpe, meanwhile, I believe took a 2-tire stop on lap 19, and boy, a lot of cars way up the track in turn 3.
Connor Gibson Benjamin Lacey, looking like he was going to do the wall ride, the famous wall ride that has been tracked to Martinsville at this point. Connor Gibson now up there along the wall as well, dropping back. So I think Connor Gibson's experiencing issues with this car.
Marasco will finally lose out to Smith. They'll tuck in line between Smith and his teammate Brian Dees. Right now, most of the battles, though, at the tail end of the field. Take a look at Scott Shire taking one down the inside of Jason Greenwell for 10th. So Shire fights his way to a top 10 position. Everyone else just behind, still in lockstep.
Yeah, Shire hungry to get back up to the front. He lost that a little early on. Same with Benjamin Lacey. So we're going to expect these two guys to race probably a little more aggressive than some of their other counterparts here on this track, because they have a lot of positions to make up to get their way back up to the front where they were towards the beginning of this race.
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, all in one big train. Dustin Payne takes away the spot from Sean Williams for the 8th position. Oh, boy, Kevin Foster hard into the outside wall in the middle of the front stretch.
Kevin Foster getting a little loose again on that front stretch, so he's still trying to figure out how to maintain good throttle performance without losing too many spots there on the field. Gets a little bit more away from the wall this time, which is probably a good call for him. Don't want to hit that same place twice. And here he comes out of the corner, having a nice little run down the straight there. Let's see if he can try and make up some of those positions that he ended up losing in that last lap.
Dustin Ping and Tony Hilbrands both see if they can try to make some looks down the inside at the corner. Not able to get there for Dustin Ping, as Hilbrands will hang on to the 6th place spot for the time being. But Ping is looking, and Ping this time takes it to the bottom of 3. The Conrad Group Insurance number 81 Dodge punts his way by the 92, and that's going to put Ping up to 6th.
That was a beautiful execution by Ping. Very late braking, but nailed the apex properly, and he made that pass on Hilbrands look very easy. So I think he's going to try and get that next one here on D's, but D's shut the door on him there. But coming out of turn number 1, coming down the or turn number 4, coming down the front stretch and into 1, he's going to dive late once again to try and get on the inside of D's.
Ryan D's looking to the inside, and Ryan D's going to fall back as Ping and Hilbrands both shoot that one down low. D's sweeps up, and he's going to lose out on a handful of positions here. Could be at risk of losing one to Kevin Foster as well.
I think he saw how aggressive those guys were trying to come to his inside, so he wanted to let them by to make sure that he stays green flag racing. Trying to keep his car clean, which is good, but at the same time, you don't want to get run over by the guys behind you because you're constantly giving up positions. So I think he's going to try and pick up the pace just a little bit here and fall in behind Tony Hilbrands.
Scott Shire also takes one down the inside of Kevin Foster. So Foster, another driver that's on the move back. So hoping that he's going to be able to resort that Winn-Dixie Charger to get himself up and rolling. Sorry, the Ford. To get himself up and rolling further on throughout the course of this race. Dustin Ping still hanging on to the tail of Ty Marasco. This one car's got to be careful. One slip up and Ping is going to try to go for it.
Yeah, Ty Marasco's got a really big bumper in his rearview mirror, and it looks like he's gonna, oh, he didn't quite get there, but he's gonna get it right here. Just dive it into turn number 1, and look at that perfect execution in the braking zone. It doesn't get much better than that anymore, or any later, and he would have been pushing right up into Ty, but he executed that perfectly, and that's how you earn the position here at Martinsville.
And Thorpe also now starting to come under fire for the 2nd spot. As Aaron Smith trying to see if he can lunge for it. All the while, all of this battling is allowing for Dalton Kilroe to continue to pull further in front. Oh, look out! Thorpe going around in turn number 3. Can he hang on? Drifts that one all the way through, and he's going to hang on. How about that? Give this man a Formula Drift license.
Wow, that was absolutely beautiful. This guy has shown us time and time again that there's no amount of spin that can stop him from continuing his race. And that was probably one of the coolest spins I think I've seen so far this season. Look at that full 360 wheel turn to try and counter steer that, and that back snaps right back into it. Man, what a perfect execution of a save spin right there.
This car gets so far sideways, and look at the angle that he carries on that car. That is immaculate driving work as he runs it all the way through turn numbers 3 and 4, never touches the wall throughout the corner, and gets that thing rolling in the front straightaway. That was absolutely flawless from the 34.
Yeah, it was beautiful execution. That is the kind that would make the Fast and the Furious proud for that kind of execution, and it saved him a lot of positions, and it also saved him from having to take any damage repair. So great job for that, as Shire is now looking to catch up with Michael Thorpe.
Thorpe, Shire, and Williams all line astern. While up the road, Dustin Ping and Aaron Smith continue to duke out for second. I do want to point out that the reason why Thorpe lost control was because he did scrape the ball entering the corner, and that unsettled the car on his run down. Connor Gibson is into pit road, so our first green flag stop of the afternoon, but I don't think this is a scheduled one.
That car's struggling with a lot of damage right now. It looks like that left front is very canted in, so I'm curious if he had some sort of incident that where he hit the inside wall.
It's big damage on the AT&T Impala, so he could very well be down and out. Thorpe now trying to regather his spots as he is now battling it out with Scott Shire. Fights on for the number 7 position, and I think Shire's going to take that one away. Thorpe's still on the backslide.
Yeah, those tires have to be destroyed at this point from how much he was trying to save that spin. So I imagine that he's just going to be struggling to hang on until he can hit that fuel window and be able to come into pits for some fresh tires.
Huge look as Thorpe, oh boy, step of the back end out again. I wouldn't tempt fate trying that again, especially considering how many positions he lost the first time. It's one of those old sayings, right? Like, yes, so drifting looks cool. Very rarely is it the fastest way around a racetrack, though.
Yeah, that and wall riding, right? Like, it's been tried once successfully, but I would never try it again. And if I were Thorpe, I would almost consider coming into the pits this time and being the first one to go and get a new cycle of hitting this next fuel stint.
Oh, and now Marasco goes into the outside wall. And that's going to open up the door for Tony Hilbrands to try to make a look for the inside for fourth. And that, oh boy, they both get sideways. They're really driving these cars. But right here, what we're seeing, this is why in these Gen 4 cars, very rarely do you actually ever put the throttle fully to the floor. You're often hovering at about 80% all the way down, because if you pin it foot to the floor, you're just spinning up the wheels and sending that car into the wall.
Exactly. That's what makes the skill of these guys so great this season. And it's been amazing to watch these guys be able to, really have discipline when applying that throttle pedal. Because you know, as a race car driver, you want to be able to give it 100% throttle because you feel like that's the fastest way around the track. But with these Gen 4 cars, it's the fastest way to end your day in pit lane.
Driving it in deep into turn numbers 3 and 4. That last time by and back out to the front straightaway. This, by the way, has been the longest green flag run we've had so far all night. And I think a very impressive green flag run as well. It's not often that you see a run this long at Martinsville. We've been going at it for almost 30 laps now.
Wow, that's an amazing accomplishment. It's weird to say that, but the expectation at this track is that it's going to be a lot of pacing just because of all the different factors that come into a race like this. Whoa, he gets wide going through the turn right there.
A lot of these impact battles starting to pick on up. Dustin Ping also starting to run down your race leader, Dalton Kilrow, up the road. And the 81 has very much caught the 41 car here. The last several laps, he has been reeling them in extremely consistently. He could very well be looking for that position here anytime.
Yeah, Dustin Ping has been looking great. I think he's just nailing his marks here at Martinsville. And with it being 200 laps, that's 400 opportunities in the turns to get it right and be able to get your opponent by having them make mistakes in the turns. So I think Dustin Ping just needs to keep hitting his marks, and that opportunity will come his way for him to pass Kilrow, take the lead.
Dustin Ping still looking to make that move happen. Meanwhile, Ty Marasco picks up the spot from Aaron Smith. As well as that, Smith dropping a ton here. He's going to lose out to Hilbrands, Dees, and that risk of losing out to Shire as well. All in the span of just one lap. Something has gone horribly wrong for Smith.
Smith is uncharacteristically dropping back. This is not a race that we would have expected him to be struggling at. He seems that every time he comes to these tracks that he's been pretty dominant out on the track. So maybe he's just not comfortable with how this car's handling at this track, or just having trouble when he's stuck in traffic.
Marasco, Hillbrands, Dees, and Shire all tucked up line astern. Dustin Pinghouse slipped up and has lost now almost back to a full second to Kilrow up the road. So we'll keep tabs on the closest battle on the track for third on back to sixth. And see which driver here could slip up and give us our next side-by-side grudge match on the track.
These guys are doing a good job at being able to hold their own without creating too much drama and chaos, and just sitting there patiently waiting for the competitor in front of them to make a mistake. And it's paying off for these guys because now they're sitting in, you know, top 5 positions.
So Dees and Shire are going to continue to go at it line astern. As they start to bring it together with Marasco and Hillbrands, absolutely gunning for it. Brian Dees and Scott Shire still working at it as well. Further down the field, Thorpe, Lacey, 2 drivers that were at the forefront earlier on this afternoon, now have been on the backslide ever since. They run 9th and 10th, with Kevin Foster trying to make up some ground just behind them as well.
Big loose moment for Benjamin Lacey. You can kind of tell he's getting a little frustrated with where he is on the field, and now he's starting to apply that throttle pedal just a little bit more, take a little bit more of a chance to try and help his position out tonight. But coming up on a certainly a green flag cycle here pretty soon, that may be his best opportunity.
Green flag cycles actually might be coming up pretty soon. I know it's not often we say that at a Martinsville race, of all places, right? But we actually might get green flag pit stops in a Martinsville race, and that, I think, is going to be a first for me. I got to be honest, I have not ever ran a Martinsville race on iRacing and seen green flag pit stops. Kilrow slips up at 3 and 4. Here comes Ping.
Great opportunity for Ping. He's been running so well tonight and being able to maintain his lines. And so that slip up from Kilrow going wide gave him the opportunity to sneak that front end right down to the inside, and he's going to take advantage of that. Going down the back stretch, let's see if he breaks a little bit later, getting close on that bumper, but able to hold it off. And Dalton Kilrow goes wide once again, giving Ping the opportunity to try and get underneath, but he's not going to take it this time around.
This is a big battle right now. Dustin Ping, of course, a driver that has not had too many notable moments so far in the 2024 season. He has been trying his hardest to try and get something on the boards. His first race win in Martinsville would be a big one.
Yeah, Ping has been a guy we've been talking about quite a bit this season, but it always seems that towards the end of the race, something goes against him that seems to be a problem. But tonight, it seems like he's a man on a mission, and a mission to take this race lead away from Dalton Kilrow. But Dalton Kilrow is not giving it up easily as he goes the inside of Kilrow, going through 1 and 2. They are now side by side coming out of the back stretch.
Down deep into turn numbers 3 and 4. Can Ping secure the lead? He'll lead the lap at the stripe, but Kilrow still fighting around the top lane. He is not going to give this one up easily, but Ping this time is through for the race lead.
Great job by Ping. He looks like he is on rails down on that lower side of the track right now. I don't think Dalton Kilrow has much that you can get by a guy that is able to lock it in right there along that border. So great job by Kilrow to be able to take the lead, and I think if he can just ride a little bit smoother right now, I don't think Kilrow is going to have much to be able to contend with him.
So Ping starting to slide away further back. Ty Marasco and Brian Dees are still in lockstep in a battle of their own. This is for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Tony Hillbrand's the last car on the podium with Scott Shire running in a solid 6th. And here we go, pit stops underway. Michael Thorpe Jr. is into the lane.
It's going to be interesting to see how green flag pit stops shake up this field here. Like you said, I don't think I've ever seen a green flag pit stop cycle at Martinsville. So we'll have to see how costly green flag cycles are here, and if the overcut or the undercut is going to pay off for somebody in the long run.
So the PRO setup shop, UNOH Dodge, is going to be down and into pit road. First green flag stops we've seen so far all race long. And it will be a 4-tire and fuel stop for the driver, the number 34. Thorpe away. He will be down several laps, though, which is obviously one of the huge risks about pitting under green. You go down 2 laps, so if yellow flag comes out now, Thorpe's whole race has been shot and thrown in the dumpster.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, and I kind of feel like that, it's a very viable option that you may get a caution before the next green flag cycle, or before the green flag cycle cycles through. So overcut may be the way to go around here, but we'll have to see, because we know how fast Michael Thorpe is on fresh rubber. He was showing his dominance earlier tonight. He may even be able to start passing some of these guys on the outside like he is here with these.
Brian Dees now trying to see if he can make a move up on Ty Marasco. Thorpe, of course, quitting himself from the group here, as he is just trying to get himself sorted at the head of this field. He is up to 14th. Starting to break up quite a few of these front-running battles. We're over halfway, by the way. 99, 98 to go with the line.
These guys are doing very well so far. I know we had that little rash of cautions going on a little bit earlier on in the race, but now we're the green flag running that we're expecting to see from the High Tide Racing League every week. So great job to these guys in order to find that groove and, you know, have the level heads prevail and give them the opportunity to be able to race, which is, you know, obviously what they come out here for from week to week. Not sit around behind a pace car, but to get out here and take each other on, as we got another taker going down pit road.
The next driver in will be, that, of course, that number 83 BC SimSport car. Going to go down 2 laps. It's already almost down a lap as it was, so for Greenwell, he could go down 3 here. He's, of course, one of the last place drivers. He has so far a big win that he had in the fuel mileage gambit at Texas. That really paid off for that number 83 car. Currently, Greenwell is sitting inside the top 12, and he is trying to stay there.
Seeming like a great stop for Greenwell there, but like we said, unfortunately, it's almost 2 laps guaranteed to be put down, 2 more laps guaranteed to be put down by a stop like that, just how slow that pit lane is. So we'll have to see if he can overcome that deficit, and hopefully we continue to get green flag racing, which will allow some of these guys that had to pit early on to be able to compete a little later in the race. But now you got to think about guys like Aaron Smith that decided to go in just a couple more laps. What if he stays out the longest and then a caution comes out, and next thing you know, he puts almost the entire field 2 laps down?
Dalton Kilroy and Tony Hilbrand's the next pair to make their way down and into pit road. As the number 41 and the number 92 will be the next 2 to drift in. Ty Marasco and Brian Dees in just behind. So here comes the field, pitting in with just over 90 laps to go.
All right, we got more MFRD guys. It seems like they must be good to go to the end at this point. So this might be one of the last stops we see before the end of the race. It's kind of weird to say that they have 90 laps and don't have to pit for fuel, but the short track like Martinsville, that's kind of the case sometimes.
It's been a strange race, hasn't it? You don't often see green flag stops in Martinsville. I'm going to be honest, I was expecting a caution fest. We've been seeing a lot of those in Martinsville over the last year or so across all sorts of different leagues. And, well, I had to jinx it. Around goes Kevin Foster. That has just shot so much of this field in the foot.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about. When a caution comes out mid green flag cycle, I think we saw another race just like this, where, you know, yeah, recently. I feel like we just talked about that. Yeah, so it's gonna really throw a wrench in a lot of these guys' races now that have stopped a little bit early. And yeah, Kevin Foster just losing control of that car coming out of the corner.
Never stopped, but that car almost rolled over off the nose of Benjamin Lacey, spun himself out off of turn number 4, and then, whoops. Wild ride there for the 8.
Not quite as graceful as Thorpe's spin was earlier in this race. He overcaught that and corrected him straight into the wall.
Dustin Ping looking to be the first one out of pit road after being the first one in. He will beat Smith out of pit road. It looks like Shire got him as well. So we are under caution now for the 7th time this afternoon with 90 laps to go. Dalton Kilroe will be picking up the race lead. And though so far looking like we will have 12 left on the lead lap. We'll be back with more after this. Green flag coming back out at the Martinsville Speedway. Dustin Ping, your leader. Green flag is up in the air, and we hop back to it. Huge chunk of cars got waved around the pacing line. Dalton Kilroe was the lucky dog. He got sent to the rear. We have 11 left on the lead lap after pit stop. So the damage not as bad as I thought it would be after green flag pit stops. Smith battling it up with Shire.
Shire doing a really good job tonight, holding his own on that top side. I think he's been stuck in that position more times than he probably wants to be, but he's been able to prevent his opponents from getting huge jumps and being stuck side by side for him for a few laps. So great job by Shire tonight, and I think he's definitely earned a spot up here on the podium with how he's been driving.
So the battle continues on further up the road. Smith, Shire, Williams still remaining in lockstep as Dustin Ping started to drive away with it. For the most part, single filed out. The only battle that's really disconjointed from the leaders that's on the lead lap is that of Michael Thorpe Jr., Brian Diaz, and Ty Marasco. 3 of the cars that had to get waved around the pacing line to get caught up to the tail ends. There is a couple of lap cars between themselves and the rest of the leading pack up the road.
Yeah, I think Thorpe is not where he's wanted to be at all tonight. We've seen him up towards the front, and now we're seeing him struggling to keep pace towards the back of the field. So I think it's just going to be an unfortunate night for Thorpe. But you know, plenty of other races so far this season. If you can just keep it clean, you'll still take away some decent points at the end of the day.
Big look down the inside. Tony Hilbrand's picks off Kevin Foster. And oh, look out around for Greenwell. Back of the shot. He's going to keep it rolling. We will not get a caution off of that. Well, Ashmore trying for it.
Ashmore trying to get out of the way there. Nearly cost him to spin, but it looked like we had Ulrich and Greenwell get into it going through the corner. Deep braking pushed him straight to the inside there, and then
Steve Ulrich pulling off to the infield. Not sure what's going on for Ulrich, but he is down and out of the race. But he did a good job to pull that into the infield itself, where then he brought it to a stop to make sure it wouldn't force a caution.
Yeah, that was a great job by Ulrich there to keep the rest of the field going. And then, unfortunately for Greenwell, also struggled for that time, ending up on that center apron. But we're able to keep it green, and so these guys are doing a great job with Ping leading the Ping Precision Auto Glass race. I think this has been a pretty dominant performance for him so far tonight.
And for Justin Ping, it's been a phenomenal ride. I know that he was struggling a little bit to get around Dalton Kilroy, but once he did, he was able to shoot off into the distance, and now he is looking like he is set to continue on with a big head of steam at the top of the field. So Justin Ping could be gunning for his first career win here this afternoon.
Yeah, he's looked like he's on rails right now. I don't think anything can really stop him at this point, other than you know, maybe something happening in front of him, or maybe if he catches lap traffic. But the way he's been able to nail his lines there through the turns has been a spectacle to see, and I don't think that there's going to be anybody on the track that has any answer for him as long as he can keep nailing those lines.
So far, Ping's best results in the season consist of a pair of fourth place finishes, one coming from that 4-wide finish at Daytona just way back earlier in March, and then again a few weeks later at Las Vegas. Since then, he has finished in 6th and 10th, and then outside of the top 10 for every other race so far on the season. So this would be big for him, getting his first podium finish here and being able to finally get some decent points on the board. That would help him out big time. Remember, he is trying to keep himself up and in the top 12 of the point standings. That is, of course, the mark that he has got to make, right, the top 12. And he enters this race way back in 8th place, so not entirely safe yet.
No, but this points haul tonight is going to be absolutely critical to help give him that cushion that he will need to be able to survive for the rest of the season in case there's another mistake. Obviously, seeing how much variation there's been with his finishes so far this season, he's going to need to take every chance he can get.
Looking like the 89 getting up into the outside wall, possibly scared off by a charging Dalton Kilroy. Saw that take Sean Williams to a bit of a swing with the outside wall. Michael Ashmore pulling off the track. He is also in pit road and looking like he will be down and out as well. So we are down to 13 on the racetrack, 11 on the lead lap. Thorpe trying to make the run on Foster.
Foster just getting out of the way for Thorpe there. I don't know if that was intentional or just some late braking that pushed him tight, but they gave the opportunity for Dees and Ty Marasco to push through there as well. So 3 spots down for Foster in 1 turn.
And well, where Thorpe made up a spot, he may very well lose one next as Brian Dees trying to now have a go down the inside. So Team MFRD looking like they want to go on the charge. As Thorpe starting to make a few more mistakes. That exhaustion, that attrition that we so often see in Martinsville started to slip in. Michael Ashmore comes back out onto the racetrack. He is down 50, well, he's down a few laps at a 52-second pit stop. That's an unusual one.
He's to the inside of Thorpe there, going out of turn number 2, but he wasn't able to use that momentum to be able to keep alongside him, so he has to dip back inside behind Thorpe Jr. And coming out of turn number 4, it looks like he may take another opportunity here, but he's going to get the door shut very quickly by Thorpe.
So Dees continuing to hang on with Marasco just a little ways behind his own teammate. I think waiting for Dees to kind of push Thorpe up and out of the way and do the work for the both of them. Then they can both try to slice through and make up 2 for 2 on the Charger. There goes Dees, opens it up down to the inside. Now Marasco's got to close up quick so we can try to freight train Thorpe and keep it pinned on the outside. Otherwise, Thorpe could slot in and try to mount a counterattack on the 17.
Yeah, this is a prime opportunity for Marasco to be able to take advantage of this situation here. But Thorpe actually doing a decent job at holding his own on that outside line there. Usually by now you're talking that Dees would probably have a nose on Thorpe, but Thorpe's able to get the position back going through 3 and 4. We'll have to see if Dees can get alongside. He's not, so now Thorpe has cleared Dees, and Dees gonna look again to the inside on 1 and 2.
Kind of like Richmond, right? We're starting to see that outside lane coming into play a little bit more on a defensive line. It's not the fastest way around, but it's fast enough because that way you can take away the inside groove off exit and make sure they can't get a good drive down the front straightaway. So Thorpe will hang on for that 8th position. Good show for him. We'll keep tabs on whether he can continue to hang up in front ahead of Brian Dees and Ty Marasco. Further down the pack, Scott Shire and Dalton Kilroe going at it.
Shire and Kilroe going at it. These guys have been alongside each other many times throughout the season, so they're probably getting used to how each other races, but Shire's doing a good job at being able to hold his line defensively. We'll have to see if Dalton Kilroe's got any tricks up his sleeve, because it looks like he might have a tough task ahead of him to be able to get alongside him here. But I think I saw a little bit of a peek from Kilroe to the outside as he breaks really deep going through 3.
Kilroe takes the spot on Shire easily, while Brian Dees also looking like he will get around Thorpe. And Thorpe thought about going, oh no, Thorpe gets turned, Marasco around. No caution yet, and now the yellow flag will fly. 8th yellow on the day, and that one came after Thorpe got turned, I believe, by Ty Marasco.
Yeah, it looked like Thorpe had to check up a little bit because he had a little too much speed coming out of that corner. And it just created a domino effect. We'll have to see right here.
Yep, just Thorpe tried to tuck in and it didn't go his way, and then Foster kicking the one up into the air. And a little whoopsie-daisy, and around goes 34. And that one car did catch a pretty good bit of air there off the nose of Foster.
That was a good lick by Kevin Foster into the rear of Ty Marasco. And I'm curious with these cars, what kind of mechanical damage you could experience by getting rear-ended in that kind of way. I mean, it's such a square hit that, you know, I can only imagine that it wouldn't be too hard on these cars to be able to take a hit like that.
One by one, drivers make their way out of pit road. Aaron Smith, going to pick up the race lead, was in the pits for about 2-3 seconds shorter than Dustin Ping. Now, they both took fuel only. Everyone else is on fresh Goodyears. I would be a little bit concerned about how this restart would go if I were them.
Yeah, tire degradation is definitely something that you have to be concerned about on these restarts, especially with these cars. So we'll have to see how these guys can handle this. But maybe a good strategy call to try and get them a few extra positions.
Thorpe driving it in deep. And there's the punt, and good grief, that is a hit for for Ty Marasco, lifting him up and into the air. But put the yellow flag back out, and this time Jason Greenwell able to get his lap back with the lucky dog. Benjamin Lacey looking to also take one back by staying out and getting the free wave around.
Look, see Benjamin Lacey still 2 laps down though, so he's still got a little bit of challenge ahead of him to get himself back into any sort of contention for a win. But this is a great start to get himself the wave around.
One lap to green. And we're about to enter the final quarter of this race, just shy of 50 laps to go, 54. When we take it back to racing action, this race is about to kick off in overdrive. There's no more pit stops. You get to the end on fuel.
I'm interested to see how this plays out at this point. Are we going to get iPacing or iRacing coming out of it? We had a really heavily played caution segment there, and then we had a heavily play or a really nice green segment. So we'll have to see which one. Yeah. No, we love green flag racing at Green Flag TV, so we would appreciate if there was more of that for sure.
Smith and Kilrow both clear. Ping did not get going. Hilbrand's to the inside, picks up third. So Ping going to be sliding out to fifth and almost losing the top five. Meanwhile, Kilrow trying to go down the inside, sweeps down, and he's going to take away the lead from Smith.
Smith on the outside there, and he's climbed his way back up after being pretty far back. And again, Hilbrands as well is another guy that had struggles earlier on in this race, and now finding himself in the top couple spots of the track here. So we got Shire, Dees, Ping, and Marasco
no.
just got into Ping, just got him turned around, and the caution comes out once again.
That is unfortunate. Ping goes from hero to 0, and he's going to get punted around for yellow number 9.
Again, with Dustin Ping, man, he is one of those guys that we frequently talk about at the front of the pack, and then next thing you know, he has himself in an unfortunate situation that puts him to the back. Hopefully he has enough time to recover from this, because he's definitely been the fastest car so far tonight.
Around he goes, just those little touches once again, and we talked about it so much, right? Easy mistakes to make. You just gotta be a little bit more patient at the corners, and well, it's an easy mistake to make, especially at a track like Martinsville. Ping going around, and remember, Ping didn't take tires as well, so he's on old rubber as well compared to all these guys that are on fresh tires too. I think that had a big contributing factor into how that rack played out.
Yeah, at this point, with him being farther enough back in the field, I would definitely be taking tires at this point, because you really have no positions to lose being that far back, and getting yourself fresh rubber would definitely benefit you. The only other thing I can think he would do is possibly wait until a little bit closer, but with 50 laps to go and being in the back of the field, I think now would be the best time to take fresh rubber.
Yellow flag's out for the 9th time. We've got 50 to go. We're back after this. Getting set to go back to Green Flag Racing with under 50 to go. For Dalton Kilrow, he is in the catbird seat to take a good race win this afternoon. Tony Hilbrands, though, also on the march to notch another one up in the win column. So far, Dalton Kilrow has gone winless this season, while Hilbrands trying to see if he can score his second.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Dalton Kilrow has up his sleeve. He's had 4, top 5s so far this season. Nearly 50% in the top 5, but 0 in the win column. So we'll have to see. Definitely also 9 for 9 when it comes to top 10s as well. So we'll have to see what he has going to this final
Oh,
section as we got
no!
Tony O'Brands get spun around.
Well, that didn't take long. Did Tony miss a shift there?
It had to have been because that guy behind him came into him at really fast speed, and I don't think that guy had anybody. I think it was Sean. No, it was Dees. So he must have missed a shift there, or got extremely loose.
Taking a look, and no, he never got loose. I don't think he went. I think he missed the mark, and Brian Dees had nowhere to go. Thorpe just skates through the middle there to get around that.
Poor Tony, this is kind of the best position he's had himself in all night, and it seems like he must have missed his shift. I'll have to listen in here to see if we can hear his car hitting the rev limiter.
Couldn't really tell from that angle, but we'll ride on board and watch the RPM counter here. Well, if it weren't blocked by the steering wheel, but listen in. Yep, missed a shift. Never got it up into second gear. That car pinged off the limiter and stayed there.
Another problem with these Gen 4 cars is no sequential shifter, so shifting is pretty important. They're a pretty easy thing to make a mistake in these cars, and it definitely costs him great field position there. And look at Thorpe squeezing through. Took a little bit of damage from Dees there, but it's still able to drive that, I'm sure.
I mean, this is with Dees, right? He's going through the gears, and I mean, you cannot react to that. That is just wrong place, wrong time. No one at fault there, but that's a tough one, right? I mean, it sucks for Hillbrands, but no one to blame there on that one.
Yeah, and I think this is the second time this season that Hillbrands has had a night where his start didn't go as expected, and then created an incident for him. So I'm sure he's kicking himself right now for missing that shift, because he had such a good opportunity to salvage a great ending to this race.
Kevin Foster takes the lucky dog. I thought he was. He was way up on the outside. I may have been wrong. That would be a bit weird considering he's in fifth. But Michael Ashmore down to the pit road, and you saw him bring it to a full stop down to the inside. That's what he saw. Really playing the conservative game here, not wanting to risk it. Oh, well, going into the wall ain't going to help you either.
He's still a rookie. I think he's just trying to turn out laps and try and salvage whatever he can from every race he gets to as he learns to gain experience. So I guess that that was just another learning opportunity for him.
Caution number 10 comes to a close. Dalton Kilbrough jumps to it. Shire doesn't go. Brian Dees making that jump for the number 2 spot. And Thorpe picks up the 4th position. Greenwell for 5th. Side by side, all the way back for 8th on down.
Side by side here, and look at Payne coming around the outside, coming out of turn number 4. He's got a lot of positions to make up if he wants to find himself towards the front again. But we've seen how fast he's been so far tonight. I don't think that's going to be too tough a task for him. He's going to definitely have to pass his opponents around the outside, and then when you go down the front stretch, he's going to be stuck behind those guys that are also on the outside with him. So he's got to be very strategic to get himself back into position to find himself winning the race, as it looks like Williams locked up a little bit and nearly collected the field in the process.
Marasco, Williams, Greenwell all in a line, with Justin Ping trying to battle back through after he got turned a couple cautions ago. Tony Hilbrand's in a similar boat trying to fight his way back to the point, but it's going to be a tall order for these guys to get themselves back into some good point scoring positions. Right now, it's a 4-horse race for the win.
Gilroy, Dees, Shire, Thorpe Jr., guys that find themselves at the front of the field quite a bit this season are now digging it out for another win. I know that Kilroy has yet to get a win. I think we're talking that Shire is also in the same boat, and Dees as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Dees does not have a win either. So all these guys very hungry for a win here tonight.
And it's such a long race like Martinsville, it's hard to blame them, right? I mean, this is one of those endurance tracks where you really have got to keep that focus time after time again. And it's going to be no different at one of the longest races of the season at Talladega 1 week from now. That race is going to be wild if Daytona was anything to go by.
It's going to be fun to see. I mean, we were talking the 4-wide finish at Daytona. And the beautiful thing about those restrictor plate tracks is it's a lot more about strategy and being able to put yourself in the right place at the right time. So it gives an opportunity for some of these guys that may have struggles with these smaller tracks to be able to give themselves the opportunity to create that environment to get another race win.
Drivers looking left, looking right, front and center. Everyone stacked up with their own little battle packs, but no side-by-side for now. Single file all the way out throughout this field. There goes Ping, looking for the inside, dives for the inside. Oh, Marasco breaking sideways. He's going to slip up the track. Ping fights to the bottom side, trying to pick him off for 5th.
Ping looking really good, and Marasco is going to shut that door on Ping and not give him any room to be able to take over that position. But I think it's just going to be a matter of time before Ping finally has that pass on Ty Marasco. He's going to have to pick up the pace just a little bit and get around Marasco quickly, because he's got quite a few more positions to make up if he wants to try to be at the front at the finish.
Even further back, Kevin Foster chasing Greenwell. And now Tony Hilbrand's trying to make moves. And boy, Hilbrand's getting the elbows out there as he bullies his way by Greenwell. Puts that 92 car back up to 11th, one away from the top 10. While the fight for second on is still tight.
O'Brien's trying to make up a lot of positions here, but we have Dustin Ping once again going to the inside, and he's finally going to get it this time around. I think Ty Marasco is going to have a tough time being able to hold him off any longer, as now Dustin Ping goes to the inside once again in turn number 1. But Ty Marasco is going to push him really tight into that turn, and now he gets a nice little run off the edge here. We'll have to see if he can make this pass work coming out of turns 3 and 4.
Further behind, Marasco tried to shut out Sean Williams. Williams wasn't having it, forced the issue, and takes another position away down to turn 3. That's going to bump Marasco back down to 7th if the 89 car gets his way down to the bottom. Drag race out to the line, though, and still Marasco hanging on. Contact between the two as he tries to pinch in the 89. Can't get there. Williams clears. And a little further back, Benjamin Lacey going to pick up the spot from Aaron Smith as well. Even further down from there, Tony Hilbrand's now once again challenging for a top 10. Takes it down low, shoots for the bottom side of Kevin Foster, and he is going to take that spot away from Foster. Makes the look back down to turn 3.
Hilbrand's looking to make up a lot of positions after that mistake on that last restart. It looks like he's going to get that one on Foster this time around. So now he's got a bit of a gap to close before he can reach Smith and get another position knocked out. But back into the top 10 for Hilbrand, so that'll be a good points haul for him tonight if he can keep at least 10th position. But I'm sure he's going to be looking to try and gain a few more positions before this race is over.
23 to go. And racing action is not going away anytime soon. Dees, Shire, Thorpe, Ping, Williams, and more. All in a huge train. This is just begging for a concertina.
Yeah, I think Dees right now is beginning to show his pace is dropping off a little bit, but not enough for any of these, or for Shire to be able to make that move and take away that position. So it's beginning to stack up the rest of the field. But Thorpe is not scared to go to the inside of Shire here. So we may see Thorpe be able to take over this position, and Dustin Ping's right in the mirrors, getting ready to take another position as well.
34 and the 4, both going to try to see if they can make looks, and Scott Shire hangs on for that third place position. Thorpe trying to battle back to a podium run. Just 20 to go, and it's on.
Great job by Shire to be able to defend that position. It's not easy when you get pinned to the outside to be able to keep your position at that point. A lot of people, while try and contend, end up, as we get a little bit of a stack up through that turn there, and there's a big wreck after that stack up.
Lacey goes around, and a whole parking lot off of turn 4. Caution comes out for the 11th time. Lacey's going to do a flick spin to get himself up and rolling. They will not lose a lap. And that is going to bring race in action to another brief halt. Big checkup. Started up with Ping, it looked like, and Marasco checked up into Williams, into Lacey, and then around goes the 70 of Smith and carries that number 7 up, and around they all go.
Yeah, domino effect at that point. It's really hard, especially as Smith, to be able to see that coming. But it looks like Ty Marasco gets a little loose through that corner, and it just causes that stack up.
I have to agree with you on that one. That's all, again, wrong place, wrong time. Good chunk of cars have come on down to pit road for fresh tires. The top 3, Shire, Ping, Smith, all staying out. Here's a closer look, and again, quite a bit of airtime for a few in that mess.
I'm sure, especially with Lacey, he's probably at the point in the race where he's like, please, can the 17 laps go any faster? Because I'm tired of being involved in these incidents tonight. Not really any of them have been as any of his own doing, but just being involved in a lot of incidents, being towards the back of the field tonight. So I'm sure he's ready for his race day to be done already.
Caution's out for the 11th time. When we return, it is the rest of racing action from Virginia. Getting set to go back to green flag racing, just 13 laps. If there is ever an omen, that would be it. I don't think we're done yet. Call me superstitious, but green flag will be out in the air this time by for lap 188 of 200. Scott Shire takes it to the green.
Got Shire getting a great jump. Aaron Smith locking in that second position as well, but I don't think Dustin Ping is going to let them get away with that for too long with how much he's been on a tear tonight. Dalton Carroll has also been doing great as well, as we got a Thorpe getting into the back of Kilrow. And then Thorpe gets turned by Ty Marasco. I wonder if that's a little retaliation from the aggression towards his teammate.
And around goes Thorpe, spun and stopped in the backstretch. All that work for Thorpe out the window. He had taken 2 tires on the last run of pit stops under caution. Everyone else had taken 4. And I think some of that aggression just boiled over down to the turn numbers 3 and 4.
Yeah, we're talking about the unlucky number 13 here. We only had 13 laps left as he gets tagged into the back of Kilrow. And then he has 2 teammates behind him with Dees and Ty Marasco just trying to get around him to the inside. It looked like when he jumped that curb, it pushed him back out into Thorpe and got him spun around, and then another nail by Dees. So MFRD each getting a little piece of Thorpe tonight on that turn.
And around goes the lot. Tony Hilbrand's gone around to the back end of the field as well. So might it be some confusion as to what the yellow flag actually came out for. See, just at the tail end here, Tony Hilbrand's in the battle with Kevin Foster, and he got tagged by Lacey. I don't think that brought the yellow flag out, but yeah, there might have been some assumption perhaps it was. I mean, that's again, I don't think that's intentional from Marasco. I think what that all was is just he sees the gap, right? He shoots for the bottom side and just tries to go for it. But looking like for Thorpe, he may not have been too terribly pleased. This was under caution about a lap ago. Kind of worked his way up through the field. Goes up to where the MFRD teammates are. Looking like expressing some of that displeasure. Little look from the window, and he's going to drop back.
Yeah, it felt a little more sketchy than it actually was. I just think that, like you said, I think Ty was looking to go to the inside to avoid a car that was slowing up in front of him. And when he caught that curb, it just bounced him out enough to get Thorpe turned around there. So just an unfortunate racing incident. You know, it's very common that we've seen so far tonight of somebody braking late and then getting somebody upset on that rear end there and then causing those kind of issues.
Cooler heads prevailed. I think just going up to let him know I'm not too happy, but it didn't lead to anything more than that. He did get back to his position, so Thorpe will have a big uphill climb. Benjamin Lacey hasn't moved to the rear of the field, but that was by request, so that way he can more easily serve a drive-through penalty that he's got to serve under green, so that way he's not going to impede any of the lead lap drivers, and he pulls off early on the backstretch under green here. 7 laps to go. Another yellow forces this race to overtime.
Here we go. We are gonna have these guys take off once again. Aaron Smith finding himself in the right position, right time. Good jump by Shire, coming down the front stretch into turn number 1.
Oh, there we go.
Get enough. Nope, as we got another yellow flag coming out as Foster's facing the wrong direction.
And he's not the only one, as the 3 of Messenger goes into the inside wall. Scott Shire, once again, picking up the lead, and that, I think, forces this race to overtime. We'll have to see.
6 laps to go here at the line. Might have that issue.
Could be a natural green white checker, thinking back on it now, but we take a look up as just the big stack up. Marasco braked a little earlier than Foster was expecting, got hit by Hilbrands. And around he goes, and Shu tipped up by Lacey and almost spun around.
I think these guys are going to have to expect that these restarts, you're going to have a little bit of an accordion effect.
Again, an easy mistake to make, and unfortunately, Foster comes off the worst. So still under regulation time for now. Waiting to see how this one's going to pan out. The lights would have to go out within the next 2 laps if they want to get this under green. Michael Ashmore gets waved around the pace car. And that puts him only 1 down now. Do you think we're finishing this race under green?
Oh, that's a tough question. We've seen these guys be able to do it, but I think as this race comes to a close, we're seeing more aggression come out of these guys, and really these rear ends are way too sensitive to be able to take aggression like that. So it's going to take a lot of discipline from these guys to be able to get close but not push too hard and run into their team or run into their opponents out there on the track. If they can do that, then we can definitely get a green flag finish here. But I have a hard time seeing these guys being able to not want to push the car too hard and then end up spinning a guy again.
And confirmed, this will be overtime. We had to get the lights out this time if we wanted to go under regulation. We did not, so this will be our first of 3 green-white checkered attempts. So that's going to increase that aggression all that much more.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for these guys to be able to pull that off without fail, but they've done it before, so it wouldn't be too far to expect them to do it again. We'll just have to see which form of aggression we're going to get out here as we head towards the lights coming off of the pace car.
Foster gets waved around to pick up the tail of the field. He will just barely remain on the lead lap. And Michael Ashmore hoping that this can go to a second overtime attempt, that he can get himself back onto the lead lap and fights for some extra spots himself. But here we go, coming to green.
We got Shire in a perfect position right now. He gets to set the pace for this field coming out of this corner here. And it depends how well he does this for the rest of the field to decide if there's going to be any sort of accordion effect. And we're also going to probably see some people getting loose on the throttle application here coming out of the corner to try and get those spots, as well as you see D's wiggling a little further back.
Trying to see if we can get done in the round. We might not make it, though. I see 1 car around in turn 2. No caution yet. That's Brian Dees stopped at the back of the field. We're keeping it green, though. Oh, Kilrow into the back of Shire. Smith going to take up the race lead, and the yellow comes out. We're not going to make it back, and it's a parking lot in 4.
Yeah, just as expected, we're getting a lot of guys getting testy and trying to get those guys push through there. It looks like Hilbrand's now also has a penalty as well for incident points. Yeah, so another drive-through penalty, and we may see more of those because honestly, there's been probably a ton of 4Xs tonight with how many spins people have said on each other. So I think as these overtime rules continue to grow, or overtime continues to grow, we might see more people driving through on those stops.
Payne, Marasco both involved. Marasco almost vaulting over onto his side. Thorpe just barely escapes, and Thorpe up in a 4th place now after that mess. Good show from him, but a big wreck there coming down to the round into turn number 4. Here's what happened to Brian Dees off of the restart. There was no caution for this. He got loose initially, and then he got help from Greenwald coming down into turn number 1.
I think parking it right there on that apron helped keep the caution from coming out, but unfortunately just a few seconds later we had this issue with Kilrow.
And for Thorpe, that was exactly what he was hoping for, because that is going to put him up and into that solid 4th place position. He was looking to be down and out of this race initially. He got tripped, and he was looking to be even further down. Now, let's take a ride on board, in fact, with Thorpe through this entire run. Look at how far back he is on the restart here and how many spots he's going to jump because of this wreck. So right there, he has to check out for this first incident. Now, that is going to screw him here because now he's offline. No chance on catching the front runners. At this point, he's running about 8th. That is the best he can hope for if this goes green all the way to the end. Then coming out of 4, he sees this in his mirror. And all of a sudden, boom, you're into the top 5.
Yeah, great job by him. It seems like being at the right place at the right time definitely paid off for Michael Thorpe Jr. Being involved in a couple incidents himself this time, or so far tonight. This is the first opportunity that he actually gets to take advantage of one of those incidents. So we'll have to see with our second overtime what these guys have in store for us. I think we're going to see a lot more aggression because, you now have guys that were able to gain positions off of those incidents that now put themselves in a possible chance to get a podium finish now. So they're going to be pushing themselves when they otherwise would have just been content with finishing where they had been, earlier on in this race.
Aaron Smith now with the lead. Dustin Ping to his outside. Williams and Thorpe, third and fourth. Second attempt at overtime. Coming around. Turn numbers 3 and 4. Aaron Smith getting on the loud pedal. Green flag is out. Second attempt at overtime. No wheel spin this time, rounding seven. Time Marasco further towards the rear. Smith clear, down to turn 1. Sean Williams picks up second. Ping trying to see if he can stay secure for third. Now it's all down to what happens over here in 3 and 4. Do we make it back? They're going to go 3 wide, deeper in the field as they lunge for it down to the turn numbers 3 and 4. But off the final corner, we make it back to the white flag. 1 to go. Does Williams have enough to try to go for the Hail Mary? Does he go for the Hail Melon? Down to the turn number 4. They're crashing in turn number 2. Meanwhile, down to 3 and 4. This time by for the final time. Williams seated to stuff it in. And does have anything for Smith? The answer is no. And Aaron Smith keeps the top 5 streak alive. He wins at Martinsville. Phenomenal drive from Aaron Smith. Chalks up another one in the win column. Already had one on the season, and now in just his 4th start, he burns it down once again after a road course win at Sonoma.
Aaron Smith was a guy we were just talking about earlier in the race, saying we didn't think he was having a great day because he was sitting a little further back. But hey, he ended up being in the front of the field when it mattered the most. And of course, this guy, once again, another 4th race of the season, 4th top 5, and 2nd win now. So very good showing by him tonight to be able to have that patience and then come back and find his way to the top step of the podium.
We'll take a look on what happened here coming on to the white flag lap as it all fell apart deeper in the field for a good chunk of drivers that all went around up in turn numbers 3 and 4. Or 1 and 2, sorry. The front runners all made it out okay, but right there, Brian Dees gets into Hilbrands, pushes him up into Kevin Foster, and puts Foster hard to the outside wall. Martinsville got in there too. And that is what sent all of them around deeper in this pack, but my goodness. A wild night of racing action this afternoon. Let's take a rundown now of your official post-race results after a barn burner here this afternoon from the Martinsville Speedway. Starting this one off to take the checkered flag, Aaron Smith picks it up from Sean Williams. Michael Thorpe Jr. with a solid recovery drive into 3rd. Justin Ping was in 4th, Jason Greenwell 5th, Ty Marasco in 6th. Benjamin Lacey and Brian Dees round out the top half of the field.
Scott Shire finished in 9th position with Dalton Kilroe 10th. 11th was Tony Hilbrands and Michael Ashmore in 12th. Kevin Foster in 13th with Mike Massengill in 14th. Steve Ulrich ended up in 15th, and Connor Gibson out early in 16th position.
So that is going to do it then for all drivers to come across the line on what was an absolutely phenomenal drive from the entire field here on a very tiring race, no doubt, for everybody here this afternoon. Let's give a chit chat here, of course, to the folks that finished this race up on the podium. We'll look first to Aaron Smith, the driver that takes home, at long last, his 2nd win of the season in just his 4th start. And Aaron, this one did not come easily as you had a hornet's nest behind you there on the final green-white checker.
Yeah, I knew I had to get a good restart if I wanted to make it work. I knew Sean was quick behind me. I don't know if he had fresher tires or not, but certainly would have proven some issues for me if we had a few more laps after that. But yeah, my car was destroyed. It wasn't steering nearly as well, but for some reason the bottom was planted in 1 and 2 on that restart, and I think that might have been the difference there.
Well, kind of walk us through racing action this afternoon. Obviously, this league has been great on not having too many cautions, but Martinsville, a higher caution count is always expected. How do you kind of change your mindset to adapt to that as the race goes along?
Yeah, you know the tires aren't going to wear very much when you spend most of the first run under caution, but toward the end there, around the midway point, I was wearing my tires out a ton. I guess I ran a little too hard on the top at the beginning there and kind of burnt my stuff up, especially the left rear tire was pretty well done after that first run, but I was about a 4th or 5th place car. I didn't really have any business racing for the win, but I figured that since my car was destroyed, I might as well give it a shot, and Scott had the race in the palm of his hand there, and I guess he got dumped for it, so I was able to take it in hand and run away with it.
And of course, we know you're running the part-time schedule here in 2024, but when will we be seeing that Yellow Vision car back on track?
Yeah, it could be next week, it could be next month, I'm not too sure honestly, but whenever I'm up here next, I guess I'll keep going for the win.
Sounds like a solid plan. We'll get set to see you then when we go racing. Well, hopefully when we go racing next week at Talladega. But if not, then we'll see you whenever we see you next when we go racing for the High Tide Racing League.
All right, thank you.
Aaron Smith joining us up here from the victory lane this afternoon. We'll move on down to Sean Williams, the driver that was giving it his all in the closing stages, taking his best finish so far of the season with a second-place run, and he is standing by with Josh.
Sean, congratulations on your second place finish tonight. I know that this is kind of a first time for you, even for top 5 so far this season. You haven't been able to participate in all the races, but what made tonight so special that gave you the ability to finish in second position?
I think the secret was everyone else wrecking, because that's like the only way I could get up there. This was so difficult. Even on that long kind of run we had, I couldn't even get full throttle on the straightaway. Like, it was crazy. So I guess right place, right time at the end when it counted.
Yeah, I agree for sure. This has been a wild ride. I think just about everybody's name we talked about it was some point at the podium, and so being at the right place at the right time, being around traffic most of the day. What did you find most difficult to keep that car clean?
Mostly, I think throttle control. I felt like in the corners, it was fine, but the straightaways, like, it was rough. So it was really just throttle control, car control, and trying to keep off everybody. I know I made a lot of mistakes, but luckily, I was still rolling at the end. Had a lot of damage, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was great. And coming up on the next week is going to be Talladega. I know you had a pretty decent run, if I wasn't mistaken, at Daytona. What are your expectations going into Talladega?
Mostly just to have fun. That's one of my favorite tracks. It's so much fun. I love being in a big pack, just whipping around. So stay at the front. I like being at the front there when I can. So qualify, stay at the front. If I make it, I might have to miss next week, but I really hope I'm here because Talladega is awesome, and yeah, we're going to be going for it.
Oh, yeah, we hope we have you along for the ride as well at Talladega. Is there any shout outs you'd like to give for your race today?
Yeah, the league, everyone who shows up. I know I've raced with a lot of these guys, but I'm new to this league. I'm kind of doing a partial season this season. But yeah, everybody who shows up and races, y'all for broadcasts, and everybody who's watching, we all appreciate it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, and congratulations once again on your second place finish tonight. Up next, we have the third place finisher with Michael Thorpe Jr. coming in the last spot of the podium on our second overtime for tonight, standing by with Nolan.
Well, Michael, I think it's a very unexpected podium for you this afternoon. Obviously, it's not where you were hoping to be, as you were finding yourself kind of on the down and out after running so much of this race up front. But you start one restart on a green-white checkered finish outside of the top 10, and when you finish that lap, you're in 4th. Kind of walk us through when you realized just how far off the grid you were going to be.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky to actually get third. I hate being that lucky, but yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I had a good strategy going in. We were on our last stop before we took green white checkers. Took 2 tires and hoping that would help me. get up to the front and just stay there. But just that last caution, that caution right there just screwed me. But hey, I'll come back and take third. It's just one heck of a roller coaster this race. Kind of expected it, but it is what it is.
You talk about it being a roller coaster of a race. There were a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I know for that number 34 machine, it thankfully ends on a high, but it kind of take us through that roller coaster from the drop at the green.
Just a lot of frustrations, and I dealt with loose race cars, but that was definitely about the most loosest I've ever been.
And of course, next week up, it's Talladega. And I know at Daytona it was not the best of finishes. A 7th place for you at the last Super Speedway track we were at. What are you going to have to do to make sure that you finish higher up this time around when we go rolling to Alabama?
Just stay up front, watch who I work with, and watch who I don't work with. So it's all about who you're making moves with and how you make those moves. You just got to be careful with it and just hope that you're in the right spot at the right time. And that's what I plan to do.
Well, sounds like a solid plan. We'll get set to see if you can take it home with the top 5, if not a top 3, if not a podium. When we go racing next week at Talladega. Congratulations on 3rd place after a long night, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Michael Thorpe Jr. joining us up here from 3rd place on the podium, and well, that is going to do it for our podium finishers. But goodness gracious, Josh, what a wild night of racing this was. Complete anarchy from start to finish. There were some good green flag runs, though, in there by Martinsville standards. That was about the best you could hope for out of a Martinsville race at Gen 4 cars, and you know it's going to be wild next week.
Super impressive run by these guys in the High Tide Racing League here in Martinsville. Once again, they came to perform, and they're showing us how skilled they really are in these Gen 4 cars, because they were able to handle themselves pretty well out there. 11 cautions from a place like Martinsville is no easy task to take on. It could have been easily 20, 30 cautions with how sketchy these cars are on that track. So I think another thing that in closing that I really loved about this race is the fact that I swear just about everybody in this list, as I'm reading through it tonight, sat on a podium spot at some point throughout the race. So it kept us on our toes, and it was really fun to watch to see these guys shuffle around the field and try and get to the front.
When we go racing 1 week from now, it's to the biggest, baddest track on the circuit. It's the 2.6 mile Super Speedway of Talladega, and boy, is it ever going to be a wild one. Before we get to all of that, though, we have got so much more ahead of us. Be sure to check out the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series, the live-to-tape broadcast. That'll be tomorrow night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, the Beer League returns to Circuit Zandvoort for race number 4 of the championship on Wednesday night. And on Thursday, we continue the march on for the chase of the Tires Plus Cup for the Speed Tires Plus Cup Series and their 15th round of competition. If you want to find more about who we are and what we can offer you today, check us out at www.greenflagtv.com. My name's Manolo Ramble alongside Josh Baer. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'll see you next week when we go racing at Talladega.